Hey fools, I want to talk to you about SeaDrill and 3 reasons to sell. Earlier I talked about 3 reasons to buy, but I wanted to give you the full picture here and give you 3 things to really look out for when you're dealing or if you already are invested in SandRidge. First off, I want to talk about their leveraged balance sheet. Usually in this industry you are going to have a lot of debt. The drilling ships are extremely expensive, but this company has an extremely high risk tolerance. They're really aggressive in their expansion. They finance a lot through the debt markets. They don't primarily use the cash flow or cash on hand. They really focus that elsewhere, which I'll get to in a second, but they really attack the debt market for their expansion. Their debt to equity ratio is 164%, and you can compare that to their competitor Transocean, which is only 85%. That's still high, but not too atypical for this industry. So what do they use their cash flow and their cash for? Well, for investors, it's nice having dividends. They have a very high 9.5% yield, but they're using their cash and cash flow to really pay these dividends. Their co-founder, CEO, John Friedrichsen, he's very focused and makes sure that the dividend's paid. It's got a great history of being paid and increasing. But you know, it's not great to have a high yield if it's coming on the heels of possibly not being able to pay your debt and really getting into a liquidity issue. So they're using their money for that, not so much for their expansion. The next thing I want to get right back to their CEO. He reminds me, I mean, don't get me wrong, he's proven himself as one of the leaders in the shipping industry, but he's got a lot of tendencies of like Tom Ward, the CEO of SandRidge, where he's very risk adverse. He's really opportunistic, really gung-ho, goes right at something, not too cautious. So, you know, this could pay off or it could sink you. Another person that he reminds me of, unfortunately, is Chesapeake's CEO, Audrey McClendon. The reason this is both of them have assets elsewhere, have interests elsewhere, and they start commingling some of these. And we saw how bad Chesapeake's been punished by the constant news stories coming out with McClendon. Friedrichsen's got similar issues here. He owns 30% of Ship Finance, and he has SeaDrill. He's gone to Ship Finance through SeaDrill and has sold ships to them and then leased the ships back to SeaDrill. There's nothing wrong with that per se, but once you start commingling interests, you never know when the conflict of interest is really going to affect somebody. So when there's not that transparency and you're not quite sure, when you have too much going on and it's too easy to commingle, you tend to be a little bit hesitant and a little bit worried. Chesapeake has really brought that out in investors where they don't like to see that too much. Not saying that there's anything wrong, fundamentally wrong with it, you're just not sure. Next I want to talk about is the ships that they currently have. Right now they're great ships. There's a shortage of the ships, but they have a lot on order. There's a lot more being built in the industry as a whole, so as there's more ships, the day rates get pushed down. You're not making as much money, and this is worrisome for SeaDrill because they already have such a high debt level. What could happen is they start not making as much money with the high debt from the ships. They have 6, I believe, coming on next year in the tune of $3 billion. So when you have all this money you have to pay, you're not getting paid as much. Once you start getting crunched and liquidity issues start coming to fruition, what you have to do is start selling assets. Once that starts happening, you're at a vicious cycle. If you don't really have, if you're already maxed out on your debt limit, really your options are selling assets, going to the IPO market, both of which are not great for shareholders. You know, you don't want to dilute your shares. You don't want to get into the situation where you have to start losing assets. So these are some of the issues that you really want to watch out for SeaDrill. So far, they've been a great company, but you know, there's the full picture. If you start seeing some of these come to fruition, start thinking about what you're going to do with your investment. Like I said, so far has been a great company. Their CEO has done an absolutely fabulous job. So these are just a couple things to look out for. Thanks.